From assignment 2, I have laid out all my images that I took. This is actually photos that I took of a shop that's in little 5 points that I do on a field trip with my photography class. And I've brought them all in, laid them all out, scaled them all down to fit the page, and hopefully I have made color corrections to them. I haven't, but at this point you will have. So you'll have looked at these, assessed these, and individually gone through and you know, made the necessary color corrections that they need. All of these are pretty good. Some things I could do with them to make them better. But I'm pretty happy with them, so I'm just going to leave them here. Now, what I want to do for assignment 3 is take them and arrange them in a way that I can create a single cohesive artwork, right? And it's really mostly going to be a matter of using your move tool and just making sure you're on the right layer. As you can see, I've got about 30, I've deleted a couple of these. So I have 30, yeah, I have 30 layers, or 30 images in here. You're only working with 10 to 15. So I just wanted to show you something a little more complicated for management. I have to make decisions about what's going to go on top, what's going to be on the bottom, and I start moving things around. The best way to do that is just lay them out in order so that you can look at them, see the big picture, and then start making some decisions. Some people like to work from the bottom, some people like to work from the top, some people like to work from the middle. You know, just kind of wherever you're comfortable working. And then one of the reasons you want to lay them out like this is because in later versions of Photoshop, if I pick on this, it's going to actually select it. It didn't used to be like that. However, you do select things in layer, and it now allows you to click on something to move it around. The problem is if I want to work with this layer and I click on this layer, actually that's 15, wasn't it? What were the odds? It's going to go to the object I picked. So one of the best ways to know which layer you need to be on is to hover over the image you want. You can click on it, but also if you right click on it, it will show you everything that is below your cursor. And so you can make sure you're on that proper layer. And then I can now just move this into place and start working with it and moving it around to relate to my other images. Okay, I'm not going to have time to go through and really work on this because this takes hours. But I'm going to show you examples. This is from Art Center. These are photos that I took at the Art Center and put together in a collage. And I started working here. This was actually my first image. Moved it to the top, started working around, playing around with other images. And I'm just going to quickly go back to Photoshop and show you how to rotate and how to rearrange your layers. So in Photoshop, if I want this layer to be on top, say I decide this is my top layer, I'm going to click on it and drag it all the way to the top. And you can, if you go outside, if you go above, it will speed it up to get you there. Okay, so now I'm going to drag and drop this all the way at the top. So this image, no matter where I move it, is, oops, sorry, I picked the wrong layer. It was layer 21. Okay, let's bring layer 21 all the way to the top. So now whenever I move layer 21 around, you see it's always going to be on the top. And if that's what I decide is my focal point, now remember, principles and elements of design. What's my focal point? Where do I want the eye to go first? Do I want it to go to the center, as I did with this image? I wanted it to go there. This was looking inside the High Museum of Art in Atlanta, and I wanted my eye to go there first. So I chose that as my focal point, and then I put everything else around it to get it to fall in line. Now, I like this, but there are things about it I don't like, and so I'm going to show you subsequent murals I did, or collages I did, and how they got better each time I did one. So when I tell everybody, I tell my students, it's like, okay, so do the assignment once, and then do it a second time. You have learned so much the first time you've done something that the second time you've done it, you get better. And if you do it a third time, usually by then you've done some seriously great work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this image, which is layer 3, right here, and I'm going to rotate it. edit, transform, rotate. And you see it changes the way it looks. And I get this, my cursor changes into something that looks like a elbow pasta with arrows. And now I can rotate it. All right. And that'll allow you to rotate your images if you decide you want to rotate them. You don't have to. It's up to you. And then when you're done with that, just okay. Just a bit you could accept it that way. Just come over here and click on another tool. And then it'll ask you, do you want to apply that transformation? And you have a choice. You can apply it, you can cancel it and go back to editing, or you can just trash the thing. If you decide you don't like it and don't apply, it just goes right back. If you accept it, it accepts it and it gets out of that rotating command. And then the same thing for any of these edit transform tools. You scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, warp. So you can play around with all of these. Rotate 180 will have it rotate upside down just automatically like that. And then edit, undo. And if you decide you want to undo more than once, 2020 lets you undo multiple times. And then at some point you just step backward. And step backward is the same thing as undo. There's an entire, if you want to delete a whole bunch of stuff, there's an entire history window palette. Let's pull it, here we go. And it tells you everything you've done in the document, which means you can go back all the way to the beginning, select what you've done at the very beginning, and trash it. And it'll go back to that. And it will go back anywhere you want it to go back. But I don't want to do that. I've done all this work. I don't want it to trash it. But that history palette allows you to reset the whole thing, go back many times. You're not limited to just one undo or 10 undos like a lot of programs. But you have to do that from the history work palette, and you decide where it is you want to go back to. By clicking on it, it'll show you that state. If that's where you want to go, right, you're going to select it, and then you're going to delete everything below it. Okay? I don't want to delete anything. I'm good where I am. Okay. So, edit, transform, and then all these tools. And then this will rotate clockwise, flip horizontal will mirror it, like that. Really messed up this drawing now. And so you can flip them, you can mirror those images, and those will allow you to get through, all those will allow you to get through assignment 3. The hardest part of assignment 3 is actually now you're starting to learn how to organize your layers, work with your layers, put them where they need to be, and that's the main purpose of this assignment, is to get you to start thinking about things in terms of principles and elements of design in working on your compositions, what's your focal point, what plays secondary to it, but also to start working with these tools, moving objects around on the composition and working with your layers. And let me show you very quickly before I run out of time here. This is the second iteration. This was the MARTA station. You can see there's the train. I waited, I think I was there for 40 minutes shooting, waiting for the train to come through and taking different pictures, because I got one of it coming in the station, one of it leaving, so I was able to get 2 trains on the track. And I liked this. I thought this was pretty good. And again, what was my focal point? And I think I started with the train, and I worked from there. And it's just still pretty good. This is really good. It does create that fisheye when you have a wide-angle lens, as I did on my camera. Yeah, I did this with my phone. I did this one with my phone. I did this one with my digital camera. But I did this one with my phone. And then this one was my final. No, it was my third one. And this one's a lot better. And I think the reason it was better was because I learned so much from these other 2 that by the time I got to my third one, I was making better choices and better decisions. And it's also more abstract and artistic than the others. The others were like trying to put together a puzzle. And this for me was much more, when I was working on this one, was about creating something that was a usable work that could go in a magazine. And then I did this. And this is good, right? I mean... And then I took it to the next level. And this is where I started playing with color in the creative way that I showed you guys in the previous videos. And now I start playing around with color here. And I got something that... Let me lighten this up a little bit on my camera. It's kind of dark. Oops, the other way. Yeah, that, I could sell that. Somebody would pay me money for this. Because it's good. And I spent hours doing this. And this is mostly what you're thinking about. You're trying to decide where's my focal point, what am I rearranging, and you know, you just kind of want to go from there. Okay, so that's where you're headed. Have fun.